huge developments are unfolding right now surrounding Sean Combs. Reports suggest federal investigators may have received intelligence indicating concerns about a possible escape attempt, and the entire situation appears connected to something unusual that happened during the original Homeland Security raids. When agents searched Diddy's properties, they reportedly requested every electronic device, which is standard procedure in investigations of this scale. But according to legal filings, one phone was never initially turned over. At first, it was almost treated as though it didn't exist. Later, however, that same device resurfaced during court proceedings, and instead of immediately surrendering it, Diddy's legal team challenged investigators over access to the phone, arguing that some of its contents could fall under attorney-client privilege. Prosecutors strongly disputed that explanation, especially amid allegations that another undisclosed phone may have been used for inappropriate communication and possible intimidation tactics.
While attempting to evade law enforcement monitoring, the defendant has, among other things, orchestrated social media campaigns that are, in his own words, aimed at tainting the jury pool, made efforts to publicly leak materials he views as helpful to his case, and contacted witnesses through third parties? What?
Once the issue reached the judge, the court reportedly rejected several of the explanations being offered. The judge allegedly described the delays surrounding the phone as strategic rather than accidental, which immediately intensified public speculation. Prosecutors were already suspicious that the device might contain information connected to obstruction-related concerns. While no formal obstruction charges ultimately appeared in the final indictment, many observers questioned why the issue seemed to disappear despite the seriousness of the allegations. Now, as conversations continue about what could happen in the coming years, fresh speculation is surfacing online regarding Diddy's future and the people who may still be protecting him behind the scenes.
Rika Duncan spoke exclusively with a former employee who testified in the hip-hop mogul's criminal trial. Stylist Deontay Nash filed a lawsuit last week alleging Combs physically and him for years, which Combs denies.
You say you were strangled on several occasions.
Several. Mm-hmm.
Was there ever a point where you thought, I could die?
The whole time. I said, he is going to.
You talk in the lawsuit about literally having a to-go bag and cash just in case you had to go into hiding?
Mm-hmm. It has some underwear, some shorts, a tank top, a hoodie, and, just some Vans.
And you say this
just
so casually, like this was normal behavior at that time.
Normal behavior, and it would be very normal. This was normal, very normal behavior, and everybody pacified it. So who are we gonna tell? Who exactly were we gonna tell? Who are we gonna call? Ghostbusters? There was no one there to save.
Another major point of controversy involves reports about firearms allegedly discovered during the raids. Some reports claimed that certain weapons recovered by investigators contained altered serial numbers, which could potentially create additional legal complications. Critics online have also revisited past claims made by various commentators who alleged that Diddy maintained influence through intimidation, connections, and carefully managed public relationships. Some even accused certain public figures of helping protect or rehabilitate celebrity reputations behind closed doors.
When you was around Diddy, was he doing party drugs, ecstasy and stuff like that?
Diddy wasn't the dude he is today when I was around him. You understand? He had just started, when I was about to leave, he had just started with because he never smoked cigarettes. I never seen him do pain or none of that. You understand? He would have it for people to do it. You understand? It's certain of his girls like to do it, and he would make sure it would be there. But he wasn't the one that did it. Diddy didn't start getting hooked on until he got hooked on those pain. After he got hooked on those pain, he started drinking more, because he wouldn't even drink hard liquor. He was only drinking champagne, Don P or Cristal. He was not drinking hard liquor then.
Yeah, that's real talk, man. And he also claims that, Diddy, he was using TD Jakes to fix his image. You believe that?
Well, we saw that to be true anyway. That's what he was trying to do all that time. That's why T.D. Jakes was there, to try to fix his image. Ain't no money like church money. He was doing all the things to try to get his image straightened up.
I mean, it makes sense. And he also said in this lawsuit that when he was around Diddy, he seen Diddy give out a lot of, and he said that the environment around Diddy was.
Well, I don't know. He also said Diddy distributed firearms and was selling. And I don't know how far-fetched that is. I don't know if that's true or not and stuff like that. Maybe, Diddy may have had around and was fronting. Because they do have guys who, if you need stuff like that, call your man, them over here, bring over 5 or 6, 7, 8, and you'll probably buy them from them. They had that type of, connect.
What has people especially divided is the noticeable shift in media coverage lately. Some viewers believe recent reporting has started portraying Diddy in a more sympathetic light, almost as though the groundwork is being laid for a future comeback narrative rather than focusing entirely on the allegations and ongoing legal controversy.
There is a good chance that Diddy could be eating dinner at his home tonight, a free man. And that's because an appeals court is now hearing the review of the trial in which Diddy was convicted of the Mann Act. And his defense lawyers are making 2 arguments that could sway these judges and make them overturn the conviction. Let me explain both. So the first is that the defense says that the Mann Act is to prohibit the transportation of prostitutes across state lines, and it's typically for commercial purposes. That's where they've used it before. In this case, the defense is saying this is nothing more than kinky, and kinky is protected by the First Amendment. Now, that may sound crazy, but I'm going to read you something from their brief. Listen to this. They say, freak-offs and hotel nights were highly choreographed performances involving the use of costumes, role play, and staged lighting, which were filmed so Combs and his girlfriends could watch this amateur later. Every production and viewing of this sort is protected by the First Amendment and thus cannot constitutionally be prosecuted. So what they're saying is, look, if you want to use the Mann Act to prosecute people who are moving prostitutes across state lines for commercial transactions, which again is what it's usually used for, that's one thing. But here, there's no commercial purpose. Diddy lost money. He ended up paying prostitutes. The films were never distributed to anybody. The defense is saying it was for his pleasure and the pleasure of people who may have been participating. So they're saying, look, this is like any could be OnlyFans, it could be anything like that, and all of that is constitutionally protected and shouldn't be prosecuted. So that's one argument. And I gotta say, it is an interesting argument. The prosecutors are saying it's meritless, but I wouldn't be so quick to judge it that way. So we don't know what the prosecution is going to say beyond that in court. But these judges, as I'm recording right now, the judges are hearing these arguments. The second thing they're arguing is that the sentence was totally out of whack.
One of the loudest voices pushing that theory has been Jaguar Wright, who believes powerful industry figures are still working in Diddy's favor. According to her, certain entertainment gatekeepers have protected influential artists for years. During interviews, she explained that her concerns about figures like Jay-Z didn't come from one isolated event, but from years of watching patterns within the music industry. She described it as a gradual realization rather than a single defining moment.
And it's not an easy conversation to have because I fell for the same crap that everybody else fell for. And when you are adjacent to, or, traveling in the same circles as the person that's been selected to be this icon. Because let's just be very clear, he was selected, just like Diddy was selected. Question is by who? Now, for many years, I minded my business about a lot of things, but a lot of things came to me. I heard a lot of things. You gotta remember, this was back when I was still trying to be amicable with the industry so that I could have my career, so that I could have my life, right? Everything that I worked for, everything that I sacrificed. Up until, what? 2016, 2017, I was still ignoring a lot of things. A lot of things. It wasn't until I couldn't ignore it anymore because I realized this ain't going nowhere. And then when I started seeing exactly how dangerous things have become, it was very simple. It's either you're going to speak up, or they're going to keep getting away with it, or you're going to get handled up on regardless because you're not playing along the way you should be playing along. Like that's how this works. Like, the people that get rewarded are the people that keep the secrets, the people that are quiet, and the people that lie for them. The people who get a pass are the people who pretend that like they don't know what's going on, and then the people that speak up are the people that, get persecuted, get framed, get trashed, are forced to go broke, that kind of shit. So yeah, like, I cannot say that it was an overnight process. I was hoping. See, I was always so quick to just blame, all of the harm and just the terrible in the industry on Diddy. I wasn't really willing to accept the fact that they were working together, which is why I find it so.
She also argued that many industry relationships were hidden in plain sight for years. To make her point, she referenced how celebrities and executives have historically denied close connections despite public appearances suggesting otherwise, including examples involving controversial figures like Harvey Weinstein. According to her perspective, the bigger issue was never one isolated accusation, it was the repeated pattern of influence, silence, and protection.
Harvey Weinstein, now to all of the videos of him calling Jay-Z his friend and sticking up for him. Like, that's what I'm saying. I wish I could say that there was a specific thing that happened. It wasn't. It was just watching things stack up, watching him grow more power, watching it stack up, watching them grow more power, watching it stack up, and then asking myself, where am I in the pecking order? If I come forward and say anything, who's going to protect me? Who's going to back me up? Who's going to, who's going to verify? Is there anybody else that's willing to? Like, it's been years. I've been waiting for people to be brave enough to come and stand with me. Because the hardest thing to do is to get people to corroborate that it's happening. That's the hardest thing in the world to do. So yeah, I can't say that it was there was one specific falling out. No, I've been watching, just like everybody else has been watching things happen while they were growing power. And then and there's all of the other people who are, when you get frustrated, the other players in the game who say, oh, well, no, listen to me. Nobody's going to forget your loyalty. Nobody's going to forget. It's going to be okay. When this person gets here, they're going to do this. When this person gets here, they're going to do that. Oh, when they make this happen, you're going to be able to get this. Like, it's barter and trade all the way through. Am I making sense?
Looking back, Jaguar admitted she has conflicted feelings about speaking publicly. Part of her wishes she had spoken out earlier, but she also believes the timing mattered, especially as a parent trying to protect her family while navigating an industry she considered dangerous and unforgiving. Recently, another individual named Clayton Howard also came forward publicly, adding even more discussion to an already controversial situation.
Do I think he should have went to prison? Absolutely. As a victim of it, I can say definitively that he did it. I just don't like the fact that the way the prosecution presented the case. So, before we even go too far, we just got to say the truth. Diddy's not in jail for he's in jail for domestic. He's in prison, He's in prison for domestic. His 50 months is not for me, Jules Theodore, the other unknown cowboys and angels, as the prosecution document says, or I forgot the other gentleman's name. Whatever. He's not in prison for us. He's in prison for beating on women and mistreating people. But they used this in order to give him a conviction because the domestic that Cassie reported was too far out of statute to put him in prison. That's my mistake. So the domestic was too much to put him in prison. So what they did was, okay, you know what? We're going to come back with all of this other stuff as far as him bringing these male entertainers 15, 20 years ago. Actually, it wasn't even 15, 20 years ago because the man was doing it up until the time he got arrested. But that was enough. His own mistakes was enough for them to use everything to put him in prison. So he should have definitely got some time for the domestic. I think Cassie and Jane and all the other women that do deserve that justice, but he shouldn't have gotten more than that. I definitely don't think he should have gotten 10 or 15 years or anything more than the 50 months he got. I actually wrote the judge a letter recommending that he gets less than 5 years. So, I'm happy for him. I'm happy he's going to get the chance to go home and live his life.
So you actually wrote a letter to the judge?
Yeah, I wrote a letter, even though they didn't include it because of what I said in the letter. I definitely wrote a letter to the judge as a victim.
What made Clayton Howard's comments stand out was the complexity of his position. Despite describing himself as someone negatively affected by the situation, he reportedly did not call for the harshest possible punishment. According to statements attributed to him, he claimed he cooperated with investigators for over a year by providing records, testimony, and travel information connected to the case. However, he also argued that some parts of his personal experience were overlooked and that the public narrative surrounding the case had become oversimplified.
I also interviewed to witnessing numerous instances of domestic involving Mr. Combs and Ms. Ventura, as well as the toxic and volatile nature of their relationship. However, I must emphasize that while I do not condone Mr. Combs' conduct regarding domestic, I never witnessed Ms. Ventura being forced into any encounters. On the contrary, my personal experiences with her revealed a willing and active participant in these interactions. I shared this information with prosecution, but I believe it was disregarded in favor of a narrative that was more advantageous to their case. As a victim myself, I was trafficked across straight lines, contracted an STD, and faced significant emotional and physical harm during my involvement with Mr. Combs and Ms. Ventura. My relationship with Ms. Ventura was so extensive that I impregnated her, and despite terminating the pregnancy, she continued to contact, coerce, and me for years afterwards. The trial revealed she had dozens of calls of men to call. So why call Clayton Howard? Because she preferred me, she enjoyed me, and she chose me. Despite all this, my experiences were overlooked, and I felt silenced by the very system that is meant to protect victims. The male victims of this enterprise were denied justice. Those victims were not the true victims of this enterprise were denied justice, Those victims were not Cassandra and Jane Doe. They were the dozens of men these three, Mr. Combs, Ms. Ventura, and Jane Doe, co-conspirators manipulated for years, seeking the gratification of their own perverse desires. Mr. Combs is not innocent and should be punished, but not based on the fabricated narratives that hide the truth of the matter to which he is to be imprisoned. That is not justice. I firmly believe in justice, due process, and despite being denied it often by law enforcement, I strongly believe that justice should be served in every case.
Still, many people online were skeptical of Clayton's claims. Critics argued that because he allegedly received financial support from Diddy in the past, his perspective might not be completely unbiased. Social media reactions quickly became divided, with some accusing him of minimizing the seriousness of the allegations while others defended his right to explain his own experiences. At the same time, entirely new conversations have emerged about what Diddy's future could look like after prison. Reports and rumors online suggest discussions have already begun about a possible return to the spotlight years from now, potentially involving a major redemption-style comeback tour featuring other well-known artists.
Why you say that about Usher?
Oh.
I'm mad that people aren't more mad at Usher. Because somewhere along the way he went from a victim to a procurer to a head turner. Like, let's just be honest about Usher. Is he a victim or is he a cooperating agent?
I think we saw the moment he turned into.
Let's be honest.
It's when Diddy put his arm around him.
We all know that Chili was a PR relationship. We know that, right? That Chili wasn't real. Him and Chili. That wasn't. Who believes that that was real?
I don't. Hands.
Now it all looked cute, older, hot, see woman, younger guy, and both very good-looking people.
Yes.
So how did he end up with that after that? Let's be clear, he was still a young man. Let's be clear, he was still a young man and he was Usher. So if there was vanity involved, how the you go from Chili to that? And don't say it's true.
She was.
I tell you what I do know. I tell you how I know how he goes from Chili to that thief. You know she a thief. You want to know how his wife, what was her name, Tamika? You want to know how she was known in the styling game? As the that stole everything. That's how she was able to do more video shoots and she had clothes because she was robbing. This was a retail queen turned stylist. That's who that is. Boosted her way, and she was down with the freak wild.
One name repeatedly mentioned in these rumors is Usher, although there is currently no official confirmation of any future collaboration. While Usher has openly acknowledged Diddy's influence on his early career in the past, many observers believe he is being extremely cautious about publicly associating himself with the controversy. Any future move would likely trigger strong reactions from both supporters and critics alike. Meanwhile, online commentators continue speculating about which celebrities may remain loyal to Diddy despite the backlash.
I feel like Meek is an honorable dude. He just kind of... He just don't be up to speed a lot of times.
Is that audio real? What are you getting?
I don't know. That audio, I can't confirm that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because my thing is this, like, the feds announced that they have a video of Diddy on camera taking a male worker. You see what I'm saying? So, like, if they making these type of announcements, bro, if they had anything on Meek Mill, bro, like, that's everywhere. Because he just got out of jail and then got off of probation, got a judge fired and all type of things. Like, so it's people who want to see him look bad.
Another commentator, Big Homie CeCe, described celebrity party culture as something far more controlled and calculated than the public realizes. According to him, these environments weren't simply wild celebrations, they were carefully organized spaces where influence, status, and access played a major role. He suggested that part of what kept people returning was how effortless and exclusive everything appeared behind the scenes.
Did you see, give me thoughts when you say, like, Bow Wow say that he is upset or he feels the way that there's no more Diddy parties. He's like almost like he's fiending for the Diddy parties. Like, man, it ain't going down like it was.
So let me ask y'all a question right now. If Bow Wow came into this room without anybody knowing anything he did, and a group of females came into this room, who gonna get the females first, y'all or him?
Nigga, us.
If they don't know,
Yeah, he said they don't know who Bow Wow is.
who he is.
He's just Shad Moss from up the road.
Oh.
Yeah, nah, we getting that
Who's gonna
action.
get the females first?
Yeah, because Bow Wow did walk in this room, but he was Bow Wow. But no, Bow Wow is he have to like bat his eyes or something.
We on Bow ass.
Yeah, nah. No shade to Shad. No shade to Shad.
There's no shade.
No shade to Shad, but
Right. So if you can be a person who can show up you can show up to a place, and everybody here is paid to come in here and do what they do, of course you're gonna miss that.
Yeah, man.
You go into a party and everybody is working.
Wow, man.
You can pull anybody you want, male or female, to the bathroom and get a out.
Yeah.
You're gonna miss that.
Yeah, damn. All right, well, it's a drought then. It's a drought.
That drought make people crash out. So you know.
It's a drought. What can you give me one celebrity you were surprised to see at a party in a way that you were surprised to see him, male or female? Like, you might have had an idea about him, then you see him like, there ain't no way that this person's doing this with that or doing this like that or whatever.
No.
Okay, yeah, he said, goddamn, I can't do that.
No. Like after my first year of being working with celebrities, I figured out what it was. I said, oh, so they all like this.
Alcohol.
Huh?
Does it always start with alcohol? Whenever?
No, a lot of them don't even drink.
Oh.
It's just them.
Bro,
I'm green.
So you got different levels but you got horny men, and then you got real horny men.
Cece also explained that after witnessing enough of that lifestyle firsthand, very little shocked him anymore. Over time, he reportedly chose to distance himself from situations he no longer wanted to be part of. Yet despite all the controversy, public opinion on around Diddy appears more divided today than it was when the allegations first became public. Some believe there is now a coordinated effort to soften his image ahead of a possible return in the future, while others think the damage to his reputation is permanent. What do you think? Is public perception beginning to shift, or is this simply temporary media attention? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.